Chair Lady Camp, Chairman Camp, do you mind opening us up with a word of prayer? We'll go ahead and commence with the meeting here. 25.
Let us pray. Dear Father in heaven, we're so thankful for the opportunity to be here today and to do the people's work. Please bless us that we will be mindful and diligent. Please bless us to have the ability to make good decisions for our state. We're so thankful for the opportunity we have to serve, and we're thankful for our great state. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Chairman Camp. We're going to start with a couple of measures that are not on the agenda that have already been reviewed by the committee, but we made one technical change. One was sent back in error, and then we have one that was adopting to a constitutional amendment as needed and advised by Legislative Council. So Representative Williamson, Chairman Williamson, do you mind starting with House Bill 1023?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As everybody's aware, House Bill 1023 cleared the Rules Committee today, and it did request that it be returned to this committee for further consideration. And I present to you by committee substitute House Bill 1023 LC 500802S. And quite simply, this bill just strikes the previous section 4, which was eliminating the net worth tax, and renumbers accordingly. All section 1, 2, and 3 of the bill remain as passed out of Rules Committee today, and this will simplify the fact that the effort of this bill is simply to keep the business taxes the same as the personal income taxes, as they always have been in the state of Georgia. Be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
I don't see any questions. We have a motion do pass. There's second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Opposed, like sign. Bill passes back out. Rules. Chairman Stevens, H.R. 1021, we do have a friendly amendment to be offered at a certain time, but if you don't mind, I know it's akin to HB 98, but since we required a constitutional amendment, we did utilize some legislation that you had dropped earlier, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you might recall, the resolution I had earlier had to do with almost the exact resolution that Representative Camp and I worked on, Chairman Camp. So we just took this bill and we stripped it out and put in the language that allows for those senior citizens 65 or older, for local taxing authorities to give senior citizens up to $500 off their property taxes. And this is, of course, voluntary, and it's up to those local authorities to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's the will of the committee? Have a move to pass. Is there a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. All right. At discussion time, we have a motion to amend by Representative Kelly.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Speaking with Legislative Council and with our chairman here, we've been advised that on line 23, to be consistent with Georgia's Constitution, we need to insert after $10 or the state's minimum wage, comma, whichever is greater, comma.
Take that in the form of a motion. Is there a second? Second. A motion and a second to the amendment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Okay, in the passage of HB 1021 as amended, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. All right, it passes. Okay. HB 464, as I understand it, was accidentally returned instead of another bill. Is there a motion to approve? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. All right, that one's back. Representative Camp, HB 284. If you're ready, what number again? 25? All
Yes.
right, thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. I bring to you today HB 284, which is LC 520236. And this measure, it has to do with organizations that do cost share ministry. And all it does is say that anything that they are not able to deduct on federal income tax, they would be able to deduct on state income tax in the form of the way this works. I think we talked about this in committee, is they offer gifts to help people pay with their medical bills. And so this bill would state that they would be able to deduct that amount on their state taxes. And forgive me, the pollen is attacking me. I apologize. There is a letter in here from Georgia Hospital Association, and I did have the opportunity to speak with Anna Adams. I don't know if she would like to speak to this. Her issue was in the past there were bad actors, which the letter from the insurance commissioner's office is the same. There was a bad actor that is no longer involved in this. And after speaking with Ms. Adams, we're going to work together to try to make it clearer to people in the future. It does state in the bill, it's already in code, that this is not insurance, but we're going to work to make that more evident so people understand that they are fully responsible always for their medical bills.
I know we've studied this for quite some time. It's been around for a couple of sessions or more now. So what's the will of the committee? I don't see any questions. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Those opposed, like sign. We have, all right, all in favor, please please raise your right hand. Those opposed, okay, bill passes. Thank you. Representative Thomas, you only put one up there, Chairman. Is Representative Thomas, has she made it yet? I do not see her. I know she and I spoke, and we will move along the agenda. I believe Representative Washburn is here. So, Representative Washburn, are you ready to present?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Presenting House Resolution 1041, LC number 280615. This bill has 50 co-signers. I mentioned that the other day. I think it's appropriate to mention it again. And it proposes a constitutional amendment to allow counties the option, and we stress the word option, to use an alternative method of valuing real property. There's several benefits to it. We think it would reduce taxpayer appeals considerably and lower administrative costs considerably in the whole property assessment process. This alternative method would freeze the existing digest where it is, and it wouldn't change again until the property is sold. And the argument for that, of course, is that we believe the free market and the fair market is the best way to set values of property. It would give, of course, they have, first of all, the voters will get to decide about this. Secondly, the local government would get to decide, and they would have the right to change it within 5 years, either by voting to do that themselves or by putting that before a referendum. So that is the bill. If there's a substantial change to the property of more than $50,000, the property would be reassessed then, and that process would start over. So that's a very quick assessment of the bill, and I do ask the committee's favorable consideration of it. I think the voters deserve to vote on this. I do have Les Snyder here who wanted to speak in favor of the bill. There may be somebody who wants to speak against it. So I'll be open for any questions, Mr. Chairman.
We've had a great deal of testimony. I know you've worked very hard and had a lot of conversations. So if there is or any questions of the committee members, we're going to go ahead and be in a posture to entertain a motion. If I don't see any questions, so we'll entertain a motion.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on HR 1041? Yes, Representative Buckner.
I'm kind of sorry. This is not a question, so it is a comment. I do represent Columbus, and we have something similar. And I just feel the need to say that what they have sent for me to know that this is this really ties the hands of local government when it's frozen, and it puts the tax burden on new people moving into the community. The people that are there and stay there for a long time pay the same tax until they die or sell and move out. But new people coming in end up bearing the brunt of the taxes. And I just, it's been very hard for them to pay for the services that are needed and necessary in the community. It's not just a matter of tightening your belt if there's no money there. So I'm sharing what people wanted me to share for people to know. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The bill author.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just appreciate the lady's comments. I think it's important to know that deals with homestead only. This bill deals with all types of property, including non-homestead. And also, if I might point that out, there are other counties that have a floating homestead exemption. Chatham County is one of those. As assessed values rise, the homestead follows it exactly. So Columbus is not the only one that has some situations where assessed values don't go up de facto, because when the homestead exemption rises to match the reassessment, I just think it's appropriate to point that out, that it's not only Columbus. Thank
Do you
you.
have a follow-up,
I
Representative?
do. There was one thing I meant to say. And yours includes both commercial and homestead, and that's what's really scary to them, because theirs does not include the commercial. If it weren't for that, that's the saving grace for Columbus.
Okay.
So-
We are in the discussion period here, so there's a motion and a second. Chairman Martin, you have a discussion piece?
Well, I have for discussion, if I can, Mr. Chairman, and I'll try to be brief. We have in the area I represent, our cities, our counties, our school boards have floating homestead exemptions. The voters did that. Number one, I wonder how this would impact that. But number two, I'm back to nobody likes to pay ad valorem tax. I'll be the first person that says that. But I have severe concerns about a gas station that opens up in 2024, and you buy the land, you build the building, it costs X. And it's in business for 10 years, and somebody goes into business across the street from them or a catty corner from them 10 years from now, and they pay 4X for their property. They're going to be paying 4X property tax, and it's just I see it throwing business out of whack. And I also respectfully, and just as I think if you get out there to think it's working for some voters to think it'll get repealed in 5 years if it's not working, I just think operation of law that. So I just have severe concerns with it. Again, I think our property ad valorem system needs a relook. I just fear that the floating homesteads are working because they float up with CPI or 3%, whichever's lower. They're not an absolute lock. They don't affect business, where sometimes business is taxed based on other methods, the income method and so forth. So it does, this does give me pause, and I'll stop at that.
All right, we're going to take one more bit of discussion. I'm going to return to the author of the bill to finish this discussion. Chairman Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is to the author. Does this not give them an option to choose this? And I think in here it says that after so many years, you can either go back, change it, or go back to wherever you were. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was about to respond to Chairman Martin about that if you get, the key thing here is this is an option. If it passes, the local government doesn't have to do it this way. They have the right to choose to do it. And thank you, Chairman Prince. They also have the right to undo it. And I think, I don't think that would be as difficult perhaps as has been proposed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. No further discussion. All in favor, please signify by stating aye. Those opposed, like sign.
No.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Those opposed? Bill passes. I cannot turn his microphone off. All right, so I still do not see Representative Thomas. Let's move to, back up to Chairman Martin, 1225.
Just wanted to confirm I had the same thing, Mr. Chairman. Wanted to confirm I had the same bill. I have a HB 1225 LC 500797S. This is the same measure the committee has seen previously, with the exception Section 3 is new and is brought to us, and I appreciate that, by ACCG, lines 84 through 86 particularly, take care of a situation where if the methodology that's prescribed in this bill, that would be a county standing in as an absentee municipality, or standing in the shoes of an absentee municipality. If that occurs, then that county would be given the ability to distribute their lost rollback over the unincorporated area only, because that is that would be the amount of money they're getting based on that population. So we think that's a fair thing. I appreciate the counties bringing that to us. Mr. Chairman, I'd answer any questions if the committee recalls. What we're trying to do here is get rid of some of the angst that happened in the loss negotiations in the previous after the previous census, so that our counties and cities have a better roadmap to negotiate the distribution of the lost for their citizens, for the good of their citizens, and for a rollback.
I don't see any questions here. I do believe we're only able to have one hearing. So if we do have anybody that is burning to speak or has a question or two outside of the committee, otherwise we'll I don't see anybody rising. So anybody, what's the will of the committee? No, this is just classified as a second hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. Well, Representative.
Just one quick question. Chairman Martin, so you are bringing this on behalf of the counties?
No, sir. I'm bringing this on behalf of really good policy, Mr. Representative Washman. We saw in counties, particularly in Fulton here, where a county had a very small percentage of unincorporated area. They could hold a hammer over the head of the rest of the cities, because they were only going to get a very small percentage. So they basically told the cities, if we don't get this much, which is a much larger percent. I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk in the mic and can't look at the gentleman. I feel like I'm a bit in the exorcist mode here, my head spinning around, but I'll talk into the microphone if the gentleman will forgive my not addressing him directly. But the issue came where the county wanted more than they had a population share for. So what this does is take that sort of hammer away from them and encourages them to work with the cities, so that if a majority of the government's political subdivisions within a county that represents the citizens are in favor of it, they can go forward. And if the county doesn't sign on to the certificate, they would take a position and get their portion as an absentee municipality would. So they're treated fairly, just like the cities would be. So the county brought the amendment that said if a county does stand in the shoes and get their population share, then their rollback would only have to go to the unincorporated portion of the county, which makes absolute sense, because the cities are getting their population share and they would use their rollback to roll back in the municipal bounds. So it's fair to everyone in the counties and the incorporated areas.
How does your bill speak to the lost if it's going towards education? We have several counties that send their lost to the schools within the district.
Mr. Chairman, I think it would work the same way. If the county, and maybe if I could go to the county to help me here, or if there's somebody from the Board of Education, but this only impacts if they're negotiating with the cities on where the loss goes. I'm looking to you, Mr. Chairman, that if they decide to use this loss as an education rollback, then it's probably all going to the county now by agreement, or maybe somebody in the county could, or somebody with ACCG or our GMA could address that for me. But I think in that case, they probably have a situation where the good of the order is taking over, in that the county school system in most cases is using the rollback for the good of all of the county across the board. But I'd yield to them if you would allow it, Mr. Chairman. I don't think this impacts people that are getting along and having good negotiations now, so I don't think it would impact them.
Yes, I guess my concern, and reason for the question is if you would change the rules on how that could be redistributed, in the future. So I'd be happy to let Dante address that if you would like. You can speak from right there.
So my thinking on this would be that in Houston County and the 7 other counties where the lost goes to the school, they'd be unaffected by this legislation.
Okay, all right.
That's right. But much more succinct and better said than I did.
If
Mr. Chairman, I think.
So,
When my indication is to go to the expert, I should just be quiet.
Sure, no surprise to anyone
Yes,
in
sir.
this room. No, Mr. Chairman, should we find out differently? Is there? I would ask the gentleman to entertain further amendments.
No,
if
no,
needed.
absolutely. Mr. Chairman, we're not out to hurt anybody here. This is out to. I think this would most probably be used at the next census, unless a city was created, in the meantime in a county someplace. But we're just trying to put something in place to allow people to get along better. So
Thank you,
we're certainly not trying to hurt anybody.
Representative Buckner,
Yes.
the discussion.
I received a question, and so I'm not sure if the amendments fix this or not. Their concern was that counties would be excluded from the lost negotiations.
No, ma'am. In fact, quite the opposite. The lost negotiations would continue as they do now, where to sign the certificate, more than 50% of the population has to be in agreement. The way it reads now is 50% of the incorporated population has to be in agreement. If cities representing more than 50% of the incorporated population agree and the county agrees, then they go forward. What this would say is if they couldn't agree like that, but if 50% of the entire population of the county agreed, then the county would stand in absentee status, which is what would what happens today if a city doesn't sign the certificate. They get their population share. So that's the fallback. Really, that's what happens in most cases after the county negotiates their share. So this just keeps a single county or single municipality that has a very small percentage from, again, holding something over the head of the rest of the folks to get an inordinately large percentage of the loss. Otherwise, it would not affect. I hope it never has to come into use. I hope it provides a way and a runway that people will do the right thing, because the people that live in the cities also live in the county.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I don't see any more lights on. All those in favor of HB 1225, you have the LC number, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. LC 500778.
Please signify by stating aye. Those opposed, like sign. All right, bill passes. Now, Representative Thomas. Oop, well, all right, we're going to pull back on that. We're gonna.
That's why I didn't say anything.
He read it right the first time when we started.
Yeah, we're going to reread that LC number. I'm sorry. You did.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, can we get a new motion?
Move do pass on LC 500797. Yes.
All right, motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Opposed, like sign. All right, thank you very much. All right, so Representative Thomas has asked that we hold for right now. I know she's in some discussions and had a very valuable intent behind her bill, but I think there's some discussions to make some adjustments there, and she's not with us. Do I see her? She wanted to make some. Okay, so we'll hold that. We'll hold that 893 until next time. What's the only thing that's left is HR 1115, and that's bill that I'm the top signer on. So as the sponsor, I'm gonna let Representative Vice Chairman Crow manage the discussion here, and I'll present HR 1115.
Are you gonna stay there and present?
Yeah, I'll just
Okay.
Here.
Need a copy?
I got it.
Okay.
I just was going to let you acknowledge me. So.
All right. Well, then we will call Chairman Blackman to present House Resolution 1115. Make sure we got the right LC number, 442699. Is that what everybody's got?
That's what I've got, sir.
All right.
It's the original bill. So this just creates a separate class for qualified low-income housing projects as defined in federal code. I think that we have passed this a number of times back during Chairman Powell's days as a general bill, and the understanding is that this would require a constitutional amendment in order to hold up. I think it has had some discussion over time. I know that we've only heard on this once, so if the chairman will allow, there may be a couple of others that want to weigh in. But that's the bill, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right. Anybody have any questions and discussion from the committee? No?
Unless you want to put
Okay.
airplanes in there. Put airplanes in there when we're going to the voters.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to slide that one in here. Was there anybody here that wanted to speak? We only had one hearing on it. Dante, anybody? No? All right. Looks like we don't have anybody that wants to say anything. Would anybody like to make a motion? We'll do pass in a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? All right, motion passes.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Crow. Does anybody have anything else for the good of the order? We did.